Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Asset Ambitions podcast. Today, I am joined by Louis and Travis, both co founders of Prestige Home Improvement, a business that specializes in HVAC systems and among other systems in your home. And we'll be having a great discussion today. Welcome on, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
For sure. So I want to start by expanding upon what it is that you guys do. How did Prestige Home Improvements first ignite? You guys were the foundation of this business here.
Yeah, exactly. It started in 2022, and we worked in the industry prior to starting our company. So our background is actually in sales. There's a lot of different types of companies in the industry. There's the massive corporations. You can think of Reliance, Enercare, and then there's all the mom and pop shops. And we didn't really see any companies that fit in the middle or that filled the gap between those companies. And we thought that there was a good way to fill that gap essentially. So we decided to start the company. It was very, just raw at the beginning. We made a website, incorporated, just started making some phone calls, talking to some homeowners, trying to pitch them heat pumps because we knew that this is kind of where the industry was going. Sold, subcontracted, and then over time the business grew. And yeah, the rest is history.
That's it. The business is starting to, it seems like it's going towards HVACs a lot, like a lot. And the pitch, is it because it's more eco-friendly or, what's the main pitch here with the business?
Yeah, well, we are kind of in an interesting spot where right when we started the business, heat pumps became very, very adamant in the industry. And there was a lot of changes. And so people were looking for different solutions, especially with the raising gas prices, propane, oil. And so we started to focus on one product, which was heat pumps. And right as we started the business, that's when they really started to take off.
So you were early on the trend there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty early on, I'd say, yeah.
Okay, and you started in 2022, is that it?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's fairly recent.
Very recent, 3.5 years roughly.
Yeah, that's it. But you got a pretty big team, so it's been expanding quite a lot in the last few years there.
Yeah, in the two provinces we have 35 employees, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, that's amazing.
And we expanded to Nova Scotia last year, which now is our biggest operation.
It is, eh? Yeah, we'll get onto that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, so between the two provinces, 35, about 20 to 22 over there, 12 to 13 here.
Wow,
yeah, we
so
put
in
a
2
big
years.
focus in Nova Scotia over the past year, and now we're kind of refocusing back on Ontario. We're always like putting the right focus in each area. But yeah, so fast growing, and we're trying to keep the same rate of growth.
That's it. Good for you guys. Yeah. So walk us through what makes your business special, against all the competition.
Yeah, well, like Louis said at the start there too, part of the reason that we started the company is because we saw a pretty big gap in the market. So there's the big players, right? That are the big corporations, and then there was the mom and pop shops, which struggle to produce sales, struggle to bring in revenue. And so we thought we could kind of do a good mix between bringing in basically a good sales focused, but then also delivering the value that we feel was missing in the industry as well too. So a lot of times companies will be really good at producing revenue, but then they don't follow up with the customer service with the client, right?
That's it.
And then I'd say too, with internally too, it'd be the personal development and focusing on leadership internally with our company.
Yeah, it must take a lot of leadership to grow that fast, eh? Because you need that nuance of kind of training your new staff so quickly, but still not compensate on the quality of the service that you give, right? Mm-hmm. That must have been such an art, I'd imagine. Yeah, and if I may ask, who specifies in more the forming new partners or whatnot, or forming new
the staff when we recruit.
Yeah, new staff. Yeah.
So to give you kind of like a little bit of context on like when it started growing, me and Travis would go to, in the very beginnings, we'd go in the field together. So we'd go see homeowners, visit their house, kind of assess their situation. And there's one moment when we decided that it would be better if we separated, right? And so I started staying back home, working on some of the systems, making some documents that we could use to eventually train and all that. Travis would stay in the field because this is when we actually hired our first salesperson. and Travis started training that salesperson, and we kind of fell naturally into our roles where I take care a lot of like the back end stuff, and Travis is very leadership focused, leadership oriented. He's developed a lot of people in the company. He's developed leaders. His brother, who's like one of our key employees, he relocated to Nova Scotia to be the sales leader over there.
Okay.
He's Travis's direct report.
That must have been a decent leap there if he's from Ontario and just moving across there.
Huge move.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah.
And
Must have paid off though.
yeah, so pretty much I would say like Travis did the biggest part of like developing people, developing our leaders. I don't know if you want to touch on that as well.
Yeah, well, one thing that we kind of did that was a little bit different than what most people say too is everybody says don't bring family and don't bring friends into your business, right? And so we kind of took the opposite approach. I mean, both our brothers work with us. A lot of our good friends, they started with us as well too. And so I think that what that gave us is a certain level of trust that it takes a long time to build if you to bring, people. Obviously, you have to recruit people that you don't know eventually.
Yeah.
But it gave us that level of trust where, we tell them, if you want to move to Nova Scotia, we're going to open up an office and 4 guys leave and uplift their lives, So
That's it.
it's given us the opportunity to, I guess, move a little bit faster than
Yeah, it
most
gave
folks.
you a good foundation where the relationship was already built. I
Yeah.
guess the risk is that you don't want to break that relationship with poor, arrangements or poor, poor splits or whatnot there of the business. But yeah, it can be very beneficial to work with family for sure. I've been starting my own real estate business at the moment right now, and I'm trying to, do a bit of social media content and pump that out a little bit. And my girlfriend's been helping me with that. So it comes with its nuances for sure.
Pros and
You
cons
got to
for sure.
separate work and the life and the relationship, but it's been paying off quite a lot because we're in the same home, right? We can discuss business right on the spot, and it works very well.
And there's a proven also like certain set of people that can show that. Just like the best example is Alex Hormozy. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yes,
Him and his wife are like the best power couple that ever existed, probably. Like,
that's very true.
and they speak about it very openly. They're like, when we work like you wouldn't even tell that we're like in a relationship, but they're like, when it's private, like we're very like romantic and all that. So
That's it. You
if
need
know how to
that
separate
line.
create that line, then it can be very powerful.
Gonna
There
take
it
the friend hat or the brother hat and put it into the business, change it a little bit,
That's it. That's it. Exactly. So, what's been the most fulfilling part of the business so far?
I would say, for me, an unexpected result from training and developing people is when you see people succeeding that maybe say work close to you, or even people that you've recruited out from outside sources, is when you see them going from one stage to maybe in 6 months being at a completely different place in their life. And obviously it's up to them, but you had something to do with that. It's been very fulfilling. And then I think also too, coming from I guess organizations where customer service and standing by the customer wasn't really a focus, is providing a very good service and having very happy clients has been super fulfilling as well too.
It is, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Having
yeah.
happy clients is always good.
That's it. I get that kick too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I can't wait to have that kick of helping people grow in the business as well. Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Yes. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to second that. One of the biggest things about the biggest fulfilling parts of this whole journey has been to see the friends and family, the people we brought on, kind of succeed and enjoy it as well, right? There's a lot of people that came from jobs like his brother had a pretty serious job. He's doing some desk work and all that. I have one of my best friends who's working with us now as well. He was at the government before, and basically mostly all of the experiences that people have had with us so far, they're like, I wouldn't leave, I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Good.
They enjoy coming to work, and it's a great environment. So just like being able to provide that and to like kind of like grow that thing has been very fulfilling.
That's amazing. How do you balance, quality and speed, like efficiency in the business? Because like you just mentioned, both of you guys mentioned the growth has been, very, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance, pleasing customers yet still have good quality products?
I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we have is as you grow, things get a little bit bigger and you don't realize there might be leaks and issues in other areas that you haven't developed yet, like say, for example, like a service department, right? And so I guess just getting creative and then understanding where you've kind of hit your point where you got to slow down the growth a little bit, develop, invest in the systems, invest in the company, and then continue to grow the other areas, if that makes sense.
That's it. That's it. I guess you're still learning it. I mean, it being 2 years and a half, 3 years. I mean, I guess you must be still learning it.
Every day.
Still much more room to grow, though.
100%.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Part of what allowed us to like grow at this speed too is just executing fast, right? Like you said, one of our
Yes.
core values is like speed, and then one of our core principles is being customer centric. So we execute on the jobs very fast, and then if there's an issue, then we make sure that we do the best by the customer, right? So we send our technicians back always if there's a problem with the equipment or anything, and we make sure to provide the utmost like quality in terms of customer service. Maybe there will be a problem with the equipment you installed, which you installed fast, right? Because you need to get business going. But as long as you do the post-install process properly and you take care of your homeowner, usually like you're able to keep things going in the right way.
That's it. So you don't subcontract or anything like that. You do have your team that goes to fix a unit if ever a unit breaks or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Just started this
That
year.
streamlines the process. That was one of my questions like that because I guess it's not two different businesses, but it's two different specializations. You're selling a new unit. Your goal is doing sales, but then you also need to understand the unit and what needs to be fixed if it breaks. So I guess, is it two different teams in your organization or?
Yeah, for sure. Between the sales and the install team?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, like we said earlier, we came from a sales background, so this is how we initially grew. We did a lot of subcontracting with trusted subcontractors.
Initially.
Obviously. And then at some point, it actually started this year in January is when we really like started growing our in-house technician team. And these guys started installing. We had more control over the customer journey. But yeah, the sales guys is how the company started, and then eventually we were generating enough volume that we were able to start hiring and getting the payroll to increase.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so moving on to, the explosive growth and the achievements. I mean, you hit number one on Ottawa's fastest growing companies list in 2025, which is amazing at your stage.
Thank
Tell me how that feels and, how did you attain that?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that me and Louis were saying is when we actually got the award, we were a little bit surprised. We thought that looking at the stats from the previous years, we potentially would get it, but I think it just validated all the stress and anxiety of growing a business, because it actually was put on paper that, okay, the growth is actually serious. Because you always think that, okay, we're a growing organization, we're growing fast, but then actually getting something to validate it.
Yes. You never stop and appreciate how quick it's been growing. I guess it must have, hit and actually, you got the recognition at that point.
Yeah, it's tricky to take a step back and just, be calm with everything going on. It's always the
Yes.
next thing.
Yes, I totally
I'm sure you
understand.
understand.
Totally get that. Oh yeah, realtors, we got a lot on our plates as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the story behind expanding to Nova Scotia? So you're dealing in two different provinces, and if you can also expand, is it your goal to go to even more provinces in the long term? What's the goal here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the story behind Nova Scotia is actually pretty funny. We were initially planning on expanding to the GTA, so staying within Ontario, kind of a market that we knew.
Yeah.
One thing that we hesitated about with the GTA was that it's a very, very saturated market, right? There's a lot of contractors out there, and we weren't exactly sure what was going on with the government grants and rebate situation at the time. What was interesting about Nova Scotia is they had some very, very good grants and rebates for homeowners, and those were not going anywhere. And that one morning, I remember I got a phone call from a guy that we worked with, and he was like, you should probably look into Nova Scotia as like another opportunity. And so I got in the morning, Travis was already there, we were there before all the staff, and so we had about an hour conversation at first, kind of like touching on the idea, like what if we did Nova Scotia instead of just expanding to the GTA. And the guys had already been going to Toronto to visit some apartments, some office space.
That
and
was
all
a
that. Like,
reality
we were,
check for them.
Oh
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
like this close to pulling the trigger on Toronto.
Wow.
And then we talked about it. We looked into like what was available in Nova Scotia, what the market looked like, and within a day, we pitched the idea to some of the sales guys. One of them being his brother, who was going to lead the sales team over there, right?
Okay.
And they didn't even hesitate. They were like, "Yep, GTA, Nova Scotia, no problem."
Took about a day.
It took a
One
day.
day.
But
Wow,
that's not
eh?
even that bad when you think
Yeah.
about it. right? It's a
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, people keep asking us, they're like, how'd you convince 4 guys to move? I was like,
That's
"What?
it, eh?
It wasn't that hard. I
No,
think they were looking for an adventure.
They're
but-
hungry. They're
Yeah,
hungry.
exactly,
That's
yeah.
it. You need people that are hungry for sure.
Yeah, they saw the opportunity, so.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. So that's an integral part of the business to be located in spots that have government subsidies or incentive programs, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
It definitely helps for sure, yeah.
And so, what does that help? Does it help with the sales side, or does it? Because there's no are there subsidies for your business, or it's just for the consumer, so it helps for the sales side? That's
Yeah,
the question.
it's for the consumers, so it basically just makes the value proposition a little bit better, right? Because they're already going to be, say for like a heat pump, for example, they're already going to be saving money on their whatever, if they're using oil, propane, gas, they'll save on their energy, but then at the same time, they're going to get a good kickback by actually upgrading high efficiency and doing something that's a bit better for the environment. So it makes
That too.
it kind of a win-win, and then obviously the government is trying to get people onto sustainable sources, so it's wins all around.
That's it. Hey, can you give an example of a subsidy that you've seen in the past, or one currently going on? For some value for our viewers out here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in Ontario, they have a couple new subsidies that came out. So, if, say, for example, you upgrade from, just a normal AC to a heat pump, you can get, between, it's up to $7,500. And then if you're on oil and you fit into the income bracket, it's up to $10,000 you can get back.
Okay, okay.
And it's
So
a
it
bit different
depends
in
what
those states.
system you have first, depending on how green you make it, or how the shift is between you.
It depends on basically what you put in for the installation. So it has to be a high enough efficiency heat pump to qualify for the rebates. And there's other subsidies as well for like attic insulation and windows and stuff like that. We don't really install those. It's more just heat pumps and the HVAC systems. But it's mainly on the product that you're installing, and then the different rebates. There's some that have to do with income, some that are nothing to do with income, just the efficiency.
Okay, okay. And are there some also some financing options within your services? Is that a service that you offer, or is it governmental subsidies with different interest rates, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, we basically we work with Finance It, which is I'm pretty sure it's the biggest finance company in Canada for home improvement, and they're great. They can do a bunch of different things where it's just typical programs, where you have a decent rate, or you can do bridge loans where basically you've got either 6 or 9 months where you don't pay anything. So it gives people the chance to kind of get their funds together.
Yeah, buffer there.
And then pay off the system. And there is one that's a government program where you can get 10 years, if you install the correct equipment, 10 years at 0% interest. So it's a pretty good program for them too.
That is.
Interest free.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure people in your business would wish they had that.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. That could help our sales process. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, can you walk us through the process? I'm calling you guys. I want to get an HVAC system. Could you please recommend me what's your process?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that people reach out. We obviously run some ads online, Google, Meta. We started TikTok recently. So the typical way that someone will get in touch with us is like they'll see our ads, fill out a form, and then one of our employees will reach out over the phone, see when they're available for an in-house appointment, schedule them in, and then one of our comfort advisors, who you would call them sales guys too, they visit the house, they offer a set of options that we have available, and this varies from, good, better, best in like the equipment quality, but also in like length of warranty. So labor parts typically is offered by the manufacturer. So usually it's 10, 12 years no matter what.
Okay.
But we'll offer a longer term like labor warranty. And then you can also have some add-ons like some special air filters or say they get a water system, a water heater, you can also get some accessories for that. So there's a bunch of different options they can go for depending on what their needs are and what their budget is. And then obviously there's a finance it option. So say they want to go for a more expensive option, they want to get the full package, there's always an option to make it affordable too. And then there's also on the other end of it, there's a cost cutter option, which is like the cheapest, but it's still very good quality equipment, right? It's a way to make high efficiency affordable, essentially.
Okay. Okay. That's great. And okay, so now I got the unit. I got what I wanted, and something breaks. As you said, you have a part of your team that is there to come and address that issue.
Yeah.
And if it's within the warranty, I guess it's at no cost, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So typically, like, we try to get the least amount of like callbacks as we can.
For
So
sure, for
if
sure.
we can nail the initial installation, that's
Yes.
the best case scenario. But if they have the warranty, they always get 1 year at least. And then if they get 10 years, that means like say in 5 years there's a component that breaks and it's under warranty, then we'll come and fix it for them. All covered. Obviously, they don't have to pay any types of invoice. In the case where like someone just wants us to come and do some maintenance on their unit and they're not under any type of warranty, or say they've never even bought a product from us, they can still call us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can just go and like clean up their units. Typically, it's recommended that homeowners do their maintenance at least once a year. So this is a service that we'll eventually be providing on a higher scale too. We started by hiring our install technicians, and now we're kind of in the process of creating a service department.
Okay.
So these two things will be kind of like different areas, but that help each other out as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And okay, so those heat pumps, I don't know how technical we can get here, but what do they do, the heat pumps? Is it just, can you heat your home and it's AC as well, or is it just AC, or are there some that are just AC and some that do both?
Yeah, it's a good question. The simplest way to put this on how a heat pump works is the exact reverse process of how an AC works. So you know how you have your typical air conditioner is like a big compressor unit outside with the fan. So that thing is connected to an A coil that's sitting usually on top of your furnace, right? And then there's a refrigerant line, and it circulates the same refrigerant over time, right? So it goes inside and out, changing from gas to liquid. And that kind of like snap between gas or liquid is what creates the thermal energy. So when it's AC, it goes one way, and it turns the hot air into cold air. And then the heat pumps, what they do is they reverse that process. So the coolant goes from gas to liquid instead of liquid to gas, right?
Okay.
And then that releases some warmth. So I hope I was clear enough in that, but essentially a heat pump will do both. It'll do AC and heating depending on what the need is.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And do you service mostly like smaller square footage spaces, or do those do, a big square footage space as well?
Yeah, there's all types of spaces that you can service. Like in the residential space, if you're looking at central units, you can go up to 5 tons, which is a pretty significant unit. You'll see like big houses with these units, and then a very small house can have that too. But another product we offer too is the ductless system. So you see them all the time. Is the wall-mounted units.
Yes.
You have them in hotels and like gas stations, places like that.
Yeah, commercial
Same
spots.
Same concept. They're connected to a compressor outside. There's a unit inside the refrigerant that circulates between the two, and it's just if you don't have ductwork in your house, you can have those instead.
Those are really big in Nova Scotia because most people don't actually have the ductwork in their home.
Oh yeah, eh?
So it's a lot of ductless heat pumps that are installed in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
The most popular one.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so let's move on to social media. It's been a game changer for your business. From what I've seen, I mean, you're growing quite a lot on social media, and you're being very consistent. I think that's part of the technique here. How's social media helped you grow and connect with homeowners?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple different aspects of the social media. There's the organic post that you do with your Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and it's we take a little bit of a different approach than I would say most HVAC companies, where we try to make them fun, try to get a lot of our employees involved in the shoots and in the content. And I feel like in that sense, people can connect with our team a little bit
Yeah,
more.
so I've seen, and I think that's a good technique there because, I wanted to familiarize myself a bit with your business and I would scroll through your feed and yeah, I got to meet a lot of your coworkers and the team and everything. And I mean, it's great. It's great. You know who you're dealing with and you put faces on the
Yeah,
people.
it's good to have people too. Like on the team, everybody likes to participate in the social
Yeah,
media posts
that's
as well
good
too.
too.
So it's pretty fun. We keep it light, and
Yeah.
when we do the shoots, everybody's having fun. And then there's the paid ads aspect of the social media as well too, which is more demonstrating the offers that you have, right? But I think that it's good that you start with a good organic content strategy, so that people, when they see the pay ads and they want to learn a little bit more, they actually, like you said, get to put faces to the name,
Yeah.
and they can actually come and see the organic posting.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, for sure. And you having all those organic posts as well, it's kind of a proof of work or proof of recognition, right? You got quite a bit of followers out there. So if you remain consistent like that, I guess when people turn to your page, they see, okay, they're an established brand, right? Yeah, yeah. Do you have two different pages for the both locations or?
No, at first when we expanded, we thought about doing that, and we kind of started with it, but we canceled that right away because
Okay.
we figured it would be a lot easier just to keep everything centralized when it comes to social medias.
Yes.
And so yeah, once in a while we go down there to Halifax. We shoot some content, so you can see some stuff from our Nova Scotia office on our page, some stuff mainly from our Ottawa office. Um, but yeah, so no, one page. And to kind of touch on like how this grew and how we were consistent with it is, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I think I'll say it for for you too. But I'm not that good at like creating posts in social media and making video.
Me
edits.
neither. It's not my strong
thing.
suit at all.
So what we did is like right from the get-go, we kind of had a feeling that that would be a great long-term kind of investment. And so we worked with one of our good friends, owns a little social media agency. They're great. Their name is KKC Communications. It's Paige, Emily, and basically we must have been not even 6 months in when we
It was
started.
early. Yeah.
Very early
Yeah.
on. And they have a very reasonable rate. What we do is we'd go shoot with them for one day out of the month, and they would schedule our posts for a whole month.
Oh, there we go.
And so it was a limited amount of time investment that we had to put in. It was a very reasonable rate. So this was the best way we could go about like getting the social media going and being consistent with it. And then eventually we hired our marketing director, who's working closely with that agency who we still work with as well. And things that have just been like scaling a lot better since too. But that's like the easiest way to start. You can, if you're a company or you have a little bit of budget, you can actually outsource that work, which makes things a lot more consistent because the page doesn't rely on you. And then sometimes when it's just yourself, you can be like, oh, I'll just schedule it tomorrow.
Yes.
Or I'll do that.
That's it. You can push it
Okay.
back. Yeah, I might ask you for that
Yeah,
contact after this
absolutely.
podcast here.
I'll
Yeah,
introduce
yeah,
you,
yeah.
yeah.
For sure. Okay, so now you do have your own social media, coordinator that follows you that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So do they follow you, every single day, or how does that work?
No, well, Shaima, she's our marketing director, so it's not just social media, right? She takes care of everything that has to do with marketing. So it goes
Okay,
from
okay.
branding,
Website.
messaging, advertising, the whole 9 yards, right?
Okay.
And that's why we also kept the relationship with the social media agency, because it's a great support to take some of that social media work off her hands and being able to kind of like just guide them, and they do a big part of like the legwork for the creating the organic content. And yeah, so she follows us sometimes. We bring her to Halifax once in a while. When there's specific events, she'll come with us. But outside of that, it's a lot of like the bigger picture stuff for the company, branding, marketing, and
Okay. Yeah. That's it. She does it all.
Yeah.
So, can you name me or explain to me a marketing campaign that worked well on your social media?
There's been a couple. I think honestly, leveraging sometimes the rebates is a big thing too, because people are always trying to get something back when they're upgrading as well.
For sure.
But I think getting creative, and obviously with the help of Shime as well too, getting creative with different hooks and then trying to make the ads interesting, if that makes sense.
You want to keep viewership, right?
Yeah,
Like,
people's attention is all over the place now.
that's
So
it.
you have
That's
to
what
have
I was gonna mention.
yeah,
Like,
visual and audio hooks, and then testing. We just started testing out a bunch of different things at the same time too, because you might have a very similar offer for like 5 or 6 different campaigns, and then you might have 5 different hooks for the same campaign, and one of them is going to pick up, and then the other ones for some reason it just didn't perform well. So,
yeah, it just slips by.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
sometimes I'll make a video. I think it's gonna do good views,
it's
and
like-
then I get surprised, and then this other one just surprisingly makes so many views, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it is. Depends what gets on the feed of people.
Yeah, you gotta test it out a lot
That's
more.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And would you say you go more for quality of content or quantity of content? Do you have a certain balance on there? Or?
I don't know if we have a balance. I'd like to say we do both.
Yeah.
But I think that, say for like advertising too, you have to have good quality, but then you do have to test out a bunch of different things.
To know what it. That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think in the past the mistake we made is we've tried to, and we're doing it ourselves as well at the time. But we're trying to focus on making one video perfect.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on one video, you put it out there, and nobody cares.
That's it because it's
Yeah.
one of the only ones of the month or so, and
Exactly,
yeah, that's it. The consistency seems to be very key there.
I would say probably at the start, the quantity is a lot more important than the quality.
Yes.
You obviously want to maintain quality as well too, but sometimes when you're starting out, you don't even know what you're really doing. So just getting the reps in and getting a bunch of
Well, that's it. That was one of my questions. If you had recommendations for some people, some smaller businesses out there that might not have, some other professionals following them to do the content and everything, if you had recommendations, but I guess we just covered it right there.
just volume.
Yeah, totally agree here. Okay, we spoke about the HVAC systems and everything, but I want to go more so into the future, what you see with those systems. So why are those systems such a game changer for homeowners?
I would say, like, you mean for heat pumps specifically, eh?
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Because you've been mentioning, well, I mean, I don't want to spoil away the answer, but you've been mentioning a lot the efficiency. Is there a way that you can kind of provide information on that? Why does it stand out so much as a product? And why is there such demand that you were one of the fastest growing businesses here in Canada?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, there's been a lot of new developments in the technology in the last 5 to 6 years with heat pumps, and I think the price from the manufacturers come down a lot as well too. So now companies are able to offer this product that is very, very high in energy savings for a lot less than it used to be, if that makes sense. And so it allows homeowners to, like we were saying before, get a system that does both heating and cooling, and it's going to be at a reasonable cost that they would have paid for, maybe a furnace, even if they replaced it. And then I think other factors as well as also just the raising gas prices and fossil fuels. As those are going up, electricity, believe it or not, is not matching the same rate.
That's it, eh?
And so there is a drop-off point for, say, someone on natural gas where you would probably want to use natural gas over electricity. But if you're in the rural areas and you're on propane, or if you're on fully electric systems that don't have a heat pump, it's going to save you a bunch of money. So it's good for the homeowners to not only save money on their energy bills, but then it also is a very high quality product that's going to help with the airflow in their house and the quality of comfort in their home too.
Amazing. And so, for the people out there that come from up north, I have some viewers as I'm from up there. It's much colder in the winters down there. Is that an issue with those systems? Are they functioning during the winter? Is there a threshold that you must not hit, that you can't turn it on? Can they have it down there?
Yeah. Well, which area specifically are you talking about?
Well, I come from Hearst, which is 10 hours from here up north, and we'll get many weeks of -30, like at least maybe a month of minus 30 in January, February or so.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about these systems too is they're rated down to minus 30. So they can work till minus 30. And most times you'd want the drop off, like the balance point to be set around minus 20. You could push it to minus 25, but at that point the system's working very, very hard. But you're always pairing it with a backup system. So say, for example, if you do have a furnace that's on natural gas or probably propane up there,
Yeah.
you would have a backup system so that when the heat pump is not working as efficiently anymore, it can switch over to the propane, right? But that would be,
Okay.
I'm not sure how many days out of the year do you think you guys get minus 30?
Yeah, I guess maybe 3 to 4 weeks or so.
3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
During that period of time, you'd probably be using your furnace as a primary heat source.
That's it.
But then the fall and the winter months leading up to it, you'd be focusing on using the heat pump. So it'd still be cutting down. Instead of using it for 6 months out of the year, you'd be using it for maybe 1.5 months out of the year as your primary heat source.
Yeah. That's it. So still cost effective right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, one thing too is everybody is still going to replace their AC at 1.2. So you might as well get a system that does both at a very similar price, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make total sense.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. How is Prestige pushing the boundaries with eco-friendly comfort innovations?
I would say that like the main thing is we're pushing the boundaries in the sense that we're making a big push. Like most HVAC companies, traditional companies, they'll focus on the typical furnace AC. I would say that 80% up, like even upwards of 80% of what we do is heat pumps, right? So in terms of like the technology itself, it's the same level of quality of product that other competitors will install. But the difference is like we do a lot more in terms of ratio, right? So instead of doing like maybe 10 to 15% of our installs being heat pumps, we do like 80-85% at least.
That's it. That's where you stand out.
Yeah, and the case where we install a furnace is when usually we do a full system, we call it. So it's when you pair a heat pump with a furnace, because you don't want to install a brand new heat pump on a 20-year-old furnace, right? So we'll typically recommend changing both. And so in that sense, that's how we probably push the boundaries of like the industry and like how we push that eco-friendliness. And then in Nova Scotia, obviously we're installing mainly like in Nova Scotia, I would have to say 90-95% heat, like ductless heat pumps. So it's the one that you see on the walls.
Yes, because you mentioned earlier that the homes are ductless.
Yeah,
Mostly,
most of
I
them
guess.
don't have ducts, yeah.
Okay.
And they're almost all on oil, which is,
Okay.
in terms of fossil fuels, it's probably the worst one between like propane and natural gas for
Yeah.
the environment, and also it's very costly now. And so we're doing a high volume of ductless heat pumps to get homeowners off of like oil consumption.
That's it. Exactly. Okay, but they still keep, I guess, that oil system if it does get very cold, like you just mentioned, or normally do you recommend taking them out? Because I know that sometimes I'll be showing a home and we'll see it's an oil furnace, and the inspector's recommendation would be to you're gonna want to take that out if you're able to, unless the tank is very, very recent and the system is up to date. But normally it's outdated systems. It's very rare that it's newer systems. Do you do recommendations like that, or you don't?
If the system is up to code, we typically leave it there because they do need a backup system in the case where, we get a minus 40 day, which is very rare on the East Coast. But they have, I'm pretty sure it's by law to have a backup system in their house. So if we were to install ductless heat pumps and they wanted the oil removed, we'd have to install some type of backup heat source, which would be like electric heaters or something like that.
Okay.
Difference too, if you're doing ductless versus the central systems, you wouldn't put, say, for example, a heat pump connected into the furnace, if that makes sense. You would in that case, if you're doing a full system where you would do a backup electric and a backup or a heat pump outside, that's the case where you would remove the oil system completely and get the oil tank.
Okay.
Like Louis was saying, if you're doing ductless systems, you need to have a backup. So out east, it's a little bit different.
That's it. Exactly. I'm not very familiar with that market.
Yeah.
So talking about the market, if you had to make, a prediction, where do you think the market is going to be? Is it still heading towards the HVAC systems in 2030? What is it going to look like? You mentioned earlier the rising prices of gas and everything like that. What's the impact on there? You see some growth?
It's very hard to say, honestly. It's all guess at this point. The industry is coming out with a new refrigerant, which is R32. Most people are on R410A right now, and this happens a lot where like the industry will update the code book, right, and add new, in this case, refrigerants, and that means that everyone needs to change their system at some point. And I know that the government's intent is to get people off fossil fuels, oil for sure, and like in areas where we have natural gas, that's fine, but still using the least amount of natural gas as possible, right? But to answer your question, it's hard to say where the industry is going to go. It becomes almost political and economic at this point, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen in the world and how the gas prices are going to fluctuate, and which is also a good reason to have a heat pump, because you have your heat pump, you have your backup system, say on natural gas. At least you have the option of choosing either or. Right?
Exactly. If one
the
goes
gas
up,
prices are super cheap, then you just run the furnace. But if the gas prices are very high, electricity is reasonable, which electricity trends to be pretty stable in terms of pricing. So at least in this case, you have the option. But over time in the future, I figure most houses will have a heat pump at some point.
yeah, I'd say so too. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the signature questions of the podcast. I'll be asking you both the questions. I like to ask them to each of my guests that come on. So, firstly, Travis, if you could give yourself one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be?
I would just say that it's going to work out. Don't stress too much about the future. Obviously, we always build these problems in our head, right? But a lot of times, what you're fearful about in the future never actually happens. So just try to make calculated decisions, but don't worry about it. It's going to work out.
That's right. There's always ideas just coming up, some stresses that are unnecessary, like totally unnecessary. So certainly in the beginning of my business like that, like there's a lot of things that I didn't know. Say the website, I had no clue how to do it. Now I have a strong website on the market. It's been a month that I started my business. So it's just it seems like it's blurry. You can't see how it'll come to fruition. It always works out.
I feel like people always want to come up with a perfect plan, and I've been guilty of this as well too. But sometimes you spend so much time making the perfect plan that by the time you go to execute it, the market's changed.
Yes,
so it doesn't
that
matter.
too.
So take action. Try to make the best decision you have at the time, but then don't worry about it. Make the decision right.
Yeah. If you just get stuck and don't make a decision, nothing will move forward, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me hit you with the other question here. What is your most prized asset?
Most prized asset, probably my time.
Yes, very wise answer.
Time is, especially with all the growth and stuff too. There's so many different things to focus on that if you can set boundaries to find the time to actually work on the business and yourself as well, I think it's really important for sure.
Yes, totally agree. On yourself is important because when the mind gets stressed there, nothing better than a workout.
Exactly.
Okay, so Louis, moving on to you. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, depends how far back we go, but I would say focus on. Are you familiar with the concept signal to noise?
No.
It's, one great example of that was Steve Jobs. He was like very good. Like signal means like you focus on what you need to focus on, and that's the only thing you do. Noise is everything, right? Social media, going out, everything that's unrelated to work and not productive, right? And Steve Jobs had a really high like signal to noise ratio, meaning like 95% of his life was signal and 5% was noise, right? And I would say focus on that. Like our youth is the time to grind, essentially. It's when you have the most energy.
Yes.
So focus on your signal to noise ratio. Focus on the signal. Everything that's noise, that's not helping you, that's not pushing you forward, try to move it away. Don't focus on it and don't give it any attention. Growing up, obviously, we tend to be drawn to going to a party, going to a festival, not doing anything productive, essentially. While doing some, but it's that ratio. It's like how much do you actually focus on effective work and how much you don't do anything productive, right?
Yeah.
And so when I understood that concept, this is when I started being very mindful about what I do in my day to day.
Okay, is this noise or
Is this noise or is this signal?
yeah. That's a question to ask yourself in everything that you do, pretty much. Yeah,
And
yeah.
bringing this to attention, it kind of like you realize, oh, I'm scrolling Instagram. Is this productive? No, I'm
Yes.
just scrolling. If you're
Not at all.
making a post, if you're like editing, if you're on Instagram but editing a reel, for example, that can be productive, right? If it's positive, net positive for like say your page or whatever. But yeah, so focusing on that, being mindful about it is huge.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, amazing. And what is your most prized asset?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the same answer as Travis. Our time is very valuable, and more and more it goes to, it seems to be less available. You know.
Yes, as we grow up,
it's
we
hard.
notice how
Yeah.
time is scarce. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the scarcest thing there
Yeah,
is, you know.
exactly. As you
So
get busier too, like we were just talking this morning, we need to meet with this one person. We were looking at our calendars. We're like, where
How?
are we this in? Like we didn't know. Like
yeah,
book it in 2-3 weeks or something, you know. But it's being mindful of our time and making sure to protect that.
Yes, totally agree. Well, I know that your time is scarce, and I thank you very much for taking the time to come on the podcast. It's very appreciated.
Thank you.
And this was an amazing episode. Don't give up. It's really it's really amazing to see your growth there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if your goal is to expand in other provinces, I can see it happen.
Yeah, appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it,
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Thank you very much for
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.